silver and gold. Everyone wishes for silver and gold. How do you measure its worth? It's about $1,300 an ounce. Yeah. Hey, everybody in the TBD biosphere. Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Warhammer. We are getting together today for a very Merry Christmas.
Do you eat the survivors?
Hell yes, I do. I eat everything, motherfucker. I eat humans. I eat reindeer. I eat abominable snow monsters. We're getting together today.
I like them better when they're toothless.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's like de-seeding your watermelon, you know? Yeah. Like you want that seedless watermelon, you know? You want that like, thornless rose.
Or eating those, the little baby veals, because, you know...
Yeah.
I don't want them to be suffering.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you remove all the bones, you know, it's like you would get boneless veal, that Kobe beef. Regardless, we got together in the spirit of Christmas, and we decided we'd do something very appropriate for the Christmas season. And shockingly, despite my cynical nature, I actually love Christmas, but I do recognize the horrible, awful elements of it, so what we decided today was to really embrace that and get shit-faced drunk on, like, deplorably bad brandy. Like, this shit cost, like, $6.50 for a fifth of brandy. And watch Rudolph, the classic Rankin and Bass Rudolph. And we did that, and we've gone through almost an entire fifth in approximately 50 minutes. And now we're here with you to discuss this fucking train wreck of a Vietnam-era social commentary. That is Rankin and Bass's fucking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I'm shocked. I'm speechless.
It's interesting to me because, like, obviously we've both seen this film so many times since we were children. And the amount of things that we missed just in the, like, one-off lines, like, God. No, you can't come with me. It's man's work. And I'm just like,
and then they weep, and then they follow him, and then it did turn out to be man's work, and they shouldn't have gone anywhere. They should have listened to him, that it was a man's work to go out into the world and solve problems. You're supposed to weep at home and pump out children, Clarice. Like, seriously, yo, like, this is 66, but, like, dude, the Charlie in the box, that was one that was just like entirely like Etienne early on in the watch through pointed out that this was Vietnam era. And so we started drawing some parallels, as you know, drunk people are wont to do. And one of the ones that came out eventually was Charlie in the box. Who wants Charlie in the box? No one wants Charlie in the box. It's the fucking Vietnam War! That was very clear symbolism. I don't know if they intended it, but what the fuck, Bass? Lance Bass, Jules Rankin,
Jules Verne,
and Rankin Bass, Bass Verne, Jules Rankin. Anyway, Rankin and Bass should have known fucking better when they wrote some of that shit, just how off color it was, but they didn't. You know what my theory is? Eggnog.
They were just wasted.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, let's explain some of the shit that's come out of our mouths in this last hour. At least that's the story I'd keep sticking to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they also wrote PTSD Snowman.
The fucking seizures and everything else.
Yeah.
I also pointed out, I don't know how familiar the audience is with Rankin and Bass's work. They were famous for their Puppetoons animation style, which is technically a variation of claymation. That was considered revolutionary at the time and is completely obsolete now by about 50 years. But they did all the classic, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It was hand animated, but it was based on the same style. They did the classic Frosty the Snowman. And right around the time that they had, like, done their first 2-3 movies, they did Rudolph. And Rudolph was mostly on, you know, kind of theme, you know, for it. They started adding in some wacky characters like King
Moonrazer,
actually, the flying crowned lion that collects unwanted toys and rules an island near the North Pole where he is absolute dictator. That they don't explain for shit at all, ever. And right around that point was when they started going off the deep end, and then you get shit like the little drummer boy that starts with his family being brutally murdered and burned to death in front of him, and him being like, I hate humans, the only real people are sheep. And he goes off and becomes friends with animals, and then in order to save his animal friend, he visits Jesus, and baby Jesus heals his sheep. And that movie is god-awful. That movie is truly like a sack of shit. And you have Little Drummer Boy, and then after Little Drummer Boy, which is their, like, shot into realism, I guess. What the fuck? You have The Year Without a Santa Claus. And that's the point where shit just went straight off the deep end and no longer made sense. Year Without a Santa Claus, if you haven't read it, Santa quits for the year. And I believe ends up getting kidnapped because he quit being Santa. And there's this incredible epic journey to get Santa back on the job that involves going to the anthropomorphic being that controls all cold in the universe, called Cold Miser, and the anthropomorphic being that controls all heat in the universe, named Heat Miser, and all this stupid bullshit, pagan as hell. And then there's another one after that I don't even know what it was called, but I saw it in a fucking airport, and I was like, well, it's Puppetoons. It's clearly Rankin and Bass. It's the same writing style, and they were time traveling, and there was a rock, like the giant birds from fucking Arabic, like mythology, had, like, stolen Santa and was going to feed Santa to its young at midnight, and they had to save Santa so Santa could do Christmas.
And that's where Kiss comes in.
Like, that was basically Kiss Save Santa, except it was actually a Rankin and Bass film. So, I like Rudolph, because it's this wonderful, weird little point, where it was, like, right when they were at the tipping point at the end of the diving board, and they hadn't quite fallen off yet, but you can see all this insanity, like, waiting just outside the video. Along with, all the folksy old school American racism and sexism. And
yeah, no, that's one of the things that, like, watching this again, like, it's interesting, like, Rudolph was a part of my childhood. It was, like, probably the last, like, child Christmas movie that I watched consistently. And, like, it'd be a thing, like, every year I'd watch Rudolph, and, like, I'd watch it with my mom generally, and my mom's pretty progressive, and, like, yeah, I was a kid, but I wasn't, like, blatantly racist or sexist.
Yeah.
And it's weird that I just didn't notice any of the undertones.
Don't notice any of it, dude.
Like, they just, right over my head.
I haven't watched this shit in, like, 8 years, and coming back to it, I was like, no. Like, all the way through it.
Be yourself. Oh, wait, don't. Fit into this little box. Cover up your nose, faggot.
Yeah, like, I just... It's horrifying. In just simply the fact that they have the like, it's obviously supposed to be a story about, like, no, you do accept everybody, but it's also totally not.
Right.
Like, they make that point, but
you only accept them when you can use them.
Yeah. Hey, now they're useful. See, wasn't it great that we kept the black people around? They're good at sports. It's literally like it's so
They're
creepy, dog.
resistant.
It is so fucking creepy, like the level to which they do that, and just never address the fact that the dad is truly a sack of shit and should be killed for venison. Like,
well, there's that one thing about, like, how he felt like shit for, like, being a terrible father, and then he has that line about, like, no, this is man's work.
I'm gonna go find my son and teach him to be a man.
It's like,
yeah,
you literally you haven't learned anything here. You just went from being terrible at your son because he was around to being terrible at your wife because she's around.
Yeah, like, and you no longer have your son to kick the shit out of.
He's literally the alcoholic father who would, like, get drunk and, like, take it out on his family, but he's a fucking reindeer with erectile antler dysfunction.
Oh yeah, and what the hell's with that? They just did not have a continuity guy on set, dog. They did not have a continuity guy on set because that shit is downright off-putting.
I mean, like, I like it as, like, a display, like, physical display of emotion because there's only so much that you can do.
The bing, and then the
but, like,
antlers,
it doesn't make sense in terms of, like, biology.
It's bone!
Like, come on, Meow.
It's bone! Like, just, what the fuck? Well, and also the point where it's like, Rudolph was becoming a man, and then suddenly he grows antlers, and I'm like, okay, I get it, but a little bit. I think that's a little on the nose. And, like, yes, that is in nature how you identify a sexually mature reindeer from a not sexually mature reindeer. Well, that's part of also what makes all of the weird shit between him and Clarice so awkward. Because I'm like, am I supposed to be cheering for these, like, 11-year-old cheer-ins? fucking...
There's...
Like, I'm not cheering for this.
There's no concept of time in it. Except for fact that, like, 3 months have passed or whatever.
It's been months they've been looking for you, and now it's Christmas time. What?
And conveniently now you're about to walk in on them being eaten, as opposed to all the other months that they've been gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the theoretical implication that perhaps, in fact, the abominable snow monster never killed anyone, and considering how bigoted everyone else is in the entire film, he literally just could have been ostracized his entire life and is just pissed off because everyone has been incredibly shitty to him and dragged the reindeer to his house to show them that he wasn't a bad guy. You know, I'm a nice guy. Come on. Come on. Why won't you date me? I'm so nice. Here, look, I dragged you to my house.
He was just picking her up and giving her a hug, you know, because he's a friendly man.
And he didn't. Like, he had every chance in the world. There's literally a scene of him rubbing his hands over them while they're like, what? No, how did Rudolph go down to an icicle the size of New Jersey? How could it possibly have dropped this, 8-month-old reindeer? Oh my God. How the fuck did Yukon Cornelius Jackoff Magoop, how the fuck did he win a wrestling match?
We've been over
with
this.
A
30 goddamn dog.
Okay, this is a point.
So he went at him like a bloodhound would go at like a fucking lion or something.
That's true, yeah. Just direct in the face, barking him down. And the lion had no teeth.
And then they pushed him off the edge.
No, that's perfect.
And Bumbles bounce. So, there's that plot hole.
So, I mean, again, I guess theoretically, if you're kind of dealing with a Hulk-type situation, if the Bumble is theoretically impenetrable and impermeable, and therefore is indestructible, it would explain why Yukon never draws his gun. However, it does not explain how Hermie, in approximately 30 seconds, is able to tear out every single tooth in this giant monster's skull, when every tooth is roughly the size of Hermie's head, and he didn't have tools until that exact second.
No, I'm with you. It doesn't make sense. I mean, he should have been dead by that point.
He should have been dead. Hermie should have died scene 2.
Accurate.
Yes, he should have quit and gone, I quit, and wandered off into the snow and died, because that's how Darwinism works.
He wakes up in a snowdrift after
that shit,
has passed.
Well, okay, my theory about the snowdrift is that he's hiding out in that snowdrift. He likes to watch Etienne.
Very possible. Very possible.
No, you see, I just love teeth. Let me give you this gas. It'll work on your mouth. I'm sorry, I find Hermie creepy as shit.
Oh, I do too.
And Rudolph's voice, especially for the whole first third of it, when he's got the fucking cap on his nose, makes me want to drown him. And I know it's not Rudolph's fault because he's being emotionally abused. Though his decisions are still they're full-on Romeo and Juliet level, shitty decisions. It makes sense because he's
a fucking child.
Yeah, he's 8 months old. Hey, get together with Clarice, yo. Time to make those fucking child reindeer babies. You just get into all... I'm sorry, as soon as you cross the anthropomorphic animal Rubicon, you enter all of this horribly creepy shit because animals don't have, understandings of sexual maturity beyond... Ha-ha! You can reproduce now! I'll put my dick in you!
Biology.
And so as soon as you make all that anthropomorphic, there is, no good way to do that. It's all this stuff with Lion King, where you gotta look at that and you're like, oh! So Nala is Simba's half-sister because the alpha head of the pack... or head of the pride, fucks all the females. None of the other males are allowed to fuck the females. And then when Scar becomes the alpha, that means that for 10 years he's been fucking Simba's mom. And that whole thing where he's like, Sarabi, where the fuck is my food? And she's just like, there is no food, there's a drought. And he's just like, bring me my food, bitch. Is way more uncomfortable when you come at that with actual biological knowledge about lions, because they have meticulously studied animals when they made that movie. It was one of their whole big things. They spent 6 months with all of the artists and the writers watching animals in natural habitats so they could understand how they move and how they interact with each other.
And that's the real reason that the ivory trade is so bad.
What?
They were shooting elephants to watch all the lions.
What?
The more you know.
That makes sense. And then they sold all the ivory. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's why you have all those, like, you know, albums from that era, you know. There's that song, Ebony and Ivory.
Right.
You know, there's A Darker Shade of Pale.
Right.
You know.
Chocolate Rain.
Yes. Some stay dry, and others feel the pain. Chocolate Rain. Hey, Tal Zunde actually did a good job of writing that song. Like, no matter what anybody fucking says, I truly respect the songwriting that went into the original version of that. Because, like, the lyrics are actually, like, somewhat deep. They're about racial discrimination, funnily enough. But then, of course, it went viral because he was funny looking. And then they shoved him millions of dollars to turn it into an advertising campaign for Coca-Cola. For cherry chocolate Diet Coke.
Selling out.
Dog, the man made like $2 million. I would have sailed all the way to the bank. And I hope that he is performing in some dive bar somewhere with his keyboard, being like, it doesn't matter that they aren't paying me for this gig. I'm making the music that I want, and I'm going to go home to my fat house and my sushi and all my like high-end whiskey, you know, because obviously his life is the life that I want.
Right.
Yes. That's, you know. Oh, God. So the other fun thing, the red theme throughout. Also funny based on the era in which the film was released. Again, this is from 1966, which, just so if you want to think about it, about 3 years after we landed on the moon, middle of the Vietnam War, Kennedy's been shot, the Red Scares, you know, not in full swing anymore, but still very much a part of the American consciousness. And if you notice, the thing that makes Rudolph an outcast is that he's all about the underdogs. And he's red. Mm-hmm. I won't have any son of mine with a red nose. It's about self-respect.
Right.
Not about you respecting. Okay, that's also, I'm sorry, as a slight digression, the line where it's like, it's about self-respect, son. How is Santa going to think you're good if you have a red nose like that? And I'm like, that is literally the opposite of self-respect. That is Santa's respect. That is not
We are all Santa. We are all part of the larger conglomerate.
You see, that would be true if they had truly given in to Rudolph's Marxist leanings and become a rising proletariat. So, like, even from the point that it's like, oh, we got Christmas seals. Like, in scene one, they never see the Christmas seals again. To the fact that, you know, that we have
brought him the banjo later on.
Oh, my God, you're right, they do. It's like the birds and the seals bringing the banjo.
It's like...
He's not even playing a fucking banjo. There's no banjo in the music. All they had to do was add one banjo lick at the beginning of the fucking song. Silver and gold. And then you can have like the full orchestra. You can do it all traditional. Like, it's all good. The motherfucker's playing a banjo. Burl goddamn Ives came on your set playing a banjo. And what did you do? You burned the footage. And I truly believe that there's footage of Burl Ives playing a banjo dressed as a snowman. And I don't believe this. I'd like to believe this.
I think there's a lot of headcanon for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that's a lot better than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, like the fact that it's all, you know, a metaphor for how we need to accept socialism into our lives. Because at the end of the day, Rudolph was fucking right, and they all needed to join behind Rudolph and follow him. And if you think about it, it's December, which is almost November, which is almost the October Revolution in Russia in 1917, which technically actually happened in November, almost December, because they were on a non-Gregorian calendar because Russia was weird in the early 20th century because of the Russian Orthodox Church. I'm getting too into history here, aren't I?
No,
I'm like diving off this end.
We hashed out this whole theory earlier, so I mean,
this is true.
I'm happy for you to be the authoritative mouthpiece that's bringing it to the masses.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your choice as me as the mouthpiece, the mouth of Sauron, as it were, the nose of Rudolph, as it were, representing us to the world. Also, just looking at the whole weird thing of it, like you could totally take the whole thing. Like, I know that one time, oh no, I'm incriminating myself. One time, I took acid and watched Dumbo with a bunch of guys. Mm-hmm. And we had this whole thing where, like, we knew that it wasn't actually the intention when they made it. But watching the movie, it was almost impossible to interpret it as something other than a parable about discrimination against biracial children. And watching Rudolph today, I had a similar experience where I'm like, my God, this all perfectly fits into being like a 1960s parable on how capitalism will destroy us and is unhappy. Like, no one in the capitalist system is happy. Santa's not happy. You know what, the elves singing this song, doing all this shit. The elves aren't happy. Like, a bunch of them want to be dentists and other crap. The reindeer aren't happy unless they're, like, completely conforming jock-ass schmucks with random blonde hair and baseball caps. Though I guess we did come to the determination that every single coach ever wears baseball caps at awkward times.
Yeah, it's like, they're fucking reindeer at the end of the day. Yes, they are sentient reindeer. But if you're going to quickly give somebody something that shows, hey, I am this position. Coach, whistle, and cap, like...
But the whistle alone could have worked. They could have done, like, a cute little deer jerkin. It's like a ref costume.
Yeah, okay, and they could have had everybody in the traditional wrestling fucking...
Yeah, why not have that headgear for flying? I mean, it makes sense. You're trying to prevent brain injury.
Or like the old school, like, aviator cap things. The like, fuzzy brims and...
What? Oh, with the ear flaps and the whole...
Yeah.
Fucking the goggles up on the forehead. Amelia Earhart shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, that would have been funny. Like, equip them all out with that shit with, like, the antlers popping out the top, the little nubbins, because they're all cheer-ins. They all gonna be...
But, I mean, they probably didn't have time for that, considering they couldn't even paint the fucking food for Santa.
Oh, my God. That was hysterical. The fact that in 20 fucking years of watching this movie, I have never once noticed that the food that Mrs. Santa keeps serving Santa is actually gray. It is uncolored molded clay that vaguely looks like food. And if I was Santa, you can bet your bottom goddamn dollar I would have been cooking my own fucking dinner. Like, what the hell? Also, just that. Like, the whole weird, like, Mrs. Santa purely exists as this, like, weird force-harrying Santa to get fatter and accept the elves' shitty music. Like, throughout the thing, just not one good depiction of women in the piece. Not one good depiction of a minority in the piece. The Eskimos, homie.
Oh, yeah. I rewound that back for you. I was like, they're straight up aliens.
Because I missed it because I was laughing. Like, the entire time we were laughing our asses off. And you're like, no. I wound that motherfucker back. And, like, you watch the two elves, like, get blown away and freeze to death. And then the Eskimos...
The igloo gets knocked over, and they're like straight up aliens.
It's like full H.P. Lovecraft. Did you know in H.P. Lovecraft, like, the Inuits are actually, like, evil aliens? Because H.P. Lovecraft is a horrible racist.
Well, yeah, again, of his era, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he was extra special for his era. Like, he had shit like that, where he's like, no, the Inuits are, like, evil aliens, and they'll eat you. And people were like, that is not.
that is not cool, man.
That is just not.
Like, people were at the Klan rally and going, I think that's a little too far, bro.
Let's pull it back. No, that's actually funny to me, because you know the whole thing about H.P. Lovecraft, at the end of his life, actually finally, like, meeting a black person?
No?
Yeah. He actually, like, met a black person and was introduced to a black person and was suddenly like, wait! Black people aren't these evil anthropomorphic things destroying America. This is incredible. Black people are fine and normal people. It's just all the other races that are evil and destroying America. And it gives me this hope that maybe if he had lived in a different era and had met more people, he would have been like, oh wait, racism is wrong. Because I like the guy's writing, but it's one of those really sad things where I'm like, that's not okay.
There's been a lot of writers that had some pretty fucking ugly skeletons in their closet.
Yeah. Nabokov. That discussion came up today in my living room. Nabokov and Lolita and all of that shit. But,
I don't know. I think the female characters in this, they're not whole, but they consistently try.
That's very true. And the male characters just...
Like, I think there's more positive that can be said about them than a lot of the other characters.
Yeah. I just wish that they actually gave them any flavor at all. Because literally Clarice's whole character is, I actually do like you, Rudolph. And Rudolph's mom's whole character is, I'm horrified by your deformity, Rudolph, but I don't actually actually want you to die. And, like, yeah, they actually try way harder than Dad does or anybody else does, but...
And, like,
they are portrayed as completely incompetent and unsuccessful.
Mrs. Santa sucks.
Yeah.
But she's actually trying and doing things more than Santa is. He's literally going about his day being like, brr, everything's terrible. Everything's still terrible. Oh, gonna have to cancel Christmas because everything's terrible.
Jingle, jangle, jingle, I'm the king of jingling, kids. I'm gonna go back to my brews, yeah! Like, yeah, that's accurate. Like, that's accurate. They're actually getting things done, but it's done in such a, like a passive push to the side, like, doesn't matter way. It's really frustrating.
It is, and again, I think it's of the era. Because you still are, you're growing out of, like, women as housemaker type things. And that's very much the role that they're in. I don't think there are negative connotations about them as individuals other than the fact that they're in the housemaker role. And how that relates to today.
Yeah, no. I would agree with that, is that generally the female characters are actually portrayed as being more aware of what's going on in the overall point. Because, again, this whole thing is obviously supposed to be a point about accepting people with differences. It's just so clumsily handled.
Ass backwards. Yeah, because it's fucking 50 years ago.
It's 66 that you're like, what the shit, guys? But yeah, no, I mean, that's a point, is that actually they are more aware of what's going on for the most part, other than the fact that Mrs. Santa is utterly oblivious to the fact that the elf music sucks. But, I mean, you could also theoretically say that she's just pretending to be happy to make them happy because she's trying to actually keep the peace because Santa's ass is fucking terrible at it.
She's communications officer.
It was specifically... she is Lieutenant Uhura. Except, not Nichelle Nichols. I would have so much preferred Nichelle Nichols. Dude, how good would have that been if just Mrs. Santa had been live-action Nichelle Nichols?
And the rest of the movie was the way it was.
Yeah, no, fuck it. Like, just every shot of Mrs. Santa is just Nichelle Nichols being like, now Santa, come on, eat this. Like, how much better would that film have been? Anyway. But it was specifically just the level of, women shouldn't try, in the whole thing where Donner goes out to save Rudolph with the worst plan ever, which is, I will wander into the storm months after my son left, and hopefully I'll go in the same direction and he's not dead. Which, I'm sorry, is fucking asinine. And then when they're like, no, let us come help you, he's like, no.
Search parties work best when
this is just man's work. When it's one man finding his son. I've seen fucking... I've seen Harrison Ford movies.
It would be Oscar-worthy right here if I could pull it off.
And then they try, and then immediately just get fucking jacked by the Apocalypse so much. Like, that pissed me off. Like, I was literally just like, really? Really? Like, that happened, and I was like, okay, so they're gonna have to stay at the house. And then they left, and I was like, good for you! And then the very next scene was, oh, yep, but they were incompetent because they're women.
Yeah.
Like, that awkward pause, I think, perfectly expresses the response to this of, like...
Again,
what the fuck you want me to say to that? Like,
different era, there's a lot of problems. There's a good message in it that's very, very poorly portrayed. Like, at the end of the day, the only character that I really liked was Yukon Cornelius, and, like, even he's got issues. I mean, there's the whole thing with him leading the fucking abominable snowman at the end in the fucking collared necklace, and, like... We've made your life hell, now you're our slave. But
we've torn out your teeth so you can no longer survive in nature. So now, service us. Like, holy shit.
Which is a horrible punctuation.
We've literally got fucking, like, the colonial era in a nutshell right here was, we showed up on your land to steal your resources. You were mad about it. We wrecked your shit, and now you serve us.
Where's the gold of Yukon Cornelius?
Yeah, it's literally like, just like, you, fuck, dude. And yeah, Yukon Cornelius is by far the best character in the goddamn thing, and that's painful. Like, that's painful that that's the truth. Also, he's a dog.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to explain this. But seriously, rewatch the fucking film and realize that he is an American bulldog that shaved his face and learned how to use a gun. That is the only thing.
Actually, he may not have learned how to use a gun.
He learned how to wear it. He never pulls it.
Yep.
Oh my god, he just learned how to wear it. He barely uses his hands. The only thing he does with his hands is he hucks the pickaxe.
Right.
It's only hucking the pickaxe.
Well, he actually sets them adrift with the pickaxe, too.
But the only thing that he
uses is the pickaxe.
Okay, so they learned limited use of opposable thumbs, specifically the use of a pickaxe, and then he shaved his face and his hands so he could masquerade
with
as human.
With the pickaxe.
Yes. What else is he going to... He's not going to use the Bowie knife. He can't use the Bowie knife. But it makes so much sense. Like, if you literally go through the film and you just replace all of his lines with... like dog noises, it works. It's accurate.
Yeah, the weird licking thing he does is spot on. Like,
creepy.
The whole, like, pulling the sled when the other dogs aren't up to it is like, all right, let me show you how it's done. I'm like, you're just a sled dog.
Also, that man is big. That man is like 6'8" and like 320 pounds. Why he has like a dachshund, a spaniel, a poodle, and fucking what was the last one?
He's the OG Santa.
What?
He was Santa, and then he went off on his own adventure.
My God,
and he got replaced.
That's the possible alternate. Mrs. Santa from Santa Claus is Coming to Town died. That's why he doesn't know about the magic. That's why he can't go to Winter and make sure that it's clean. Like, he can't go to the Winter Warlock for that. That's why he can't do the fucking Year Without a Santa Claus. Go to fucking Cold Miser and be like, hey, yo, Cold Miser, you owe me fucking 1,000 to 1. Fucking clear up this goddamn storm, you fat sack of shit. Like, wait. Heat Miser's the fat sack of shit. Cold Miser is the string bean looking motherfucker. That's right. That string bean looking motherfucker. Like, all props to Whitest Kids You Know for that. And if you haven't seen that sketch, look it up. It's beautiful. Hopefully us giving them this bump will make them happy in their mansions. But that explains it. My God. He went mad and ran off into the snow decades ago because he got tired of making shit for, like, ungrateful children. And he just wanted a kiss. Just to kiss a toy. It's the price you pay, kid. Sit on my lap. Kiss me a little bit. Get what you want. Come on, bruh.
All right, then, Patrick.
Come on.
This has been a strange adventure, and I think it might be best that it comes to an end.
Nah, bro. It never ends. Santa Claus is Coming to Town is the real history. I'm talking about acid and child molestation and magical warfare in Central Europe in the 6th century A.D. But with guns. Wait. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I love Santa Claus is Coming to Town, other than the creepy-ass pedophile scene. Like, that movie, otherwise, I think is pretty solid. And the acid sequence doesn't make any sense. But, regardless, I'm sorry. I'm rambling. Rambling. Are we wrapping this up?
I think so. I mean, Rudolph's not too terribly long. We have already expressed, like, 3 crackpot theories. I mean, what more could we possibly say?
Like 5 more crackpot theories, and we came up with enough of them while watching that sack of shit. Like, oh my lord, maybe actually the whole time it was, I mean, we came up with the whole theory about, you know, it actually being the lion manipulating events. I mean, what does he want?
Right.
What
right.
does
we don't know.
We
don't know about the second coming of Jesus.
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck were they doing? I'm sorry. I'll keep ranting about this forever because I'm drunk. So, I will bow to your wisdom, sir. And all of you at home, I wish you a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. To all a good night. Happy New Year. I'm dead inside.